Hello and welcome. If you haven't already, I invite you to please click subscribe. There's no obligation, and it allows you to be notified of all new chapters. Additional information about the story, including the author, chapter warnings, and rating, can be found in the description below. All credit goes to the original author. Bleeding Skies by Orphan Account. Chapter 9. The Bite. Scott sighs, suddenly feeling trapped inside the aircraft's small compartment as he waits, and waits, and waits. The others have taken seats. Liam is resting with his head against the plane's wall. Derek is constantly trying out his smartphone. Malia sits and stares at Stiles. Lydia is resting her eyes. He focuses on her breathing, keeping an eye on her before she can slip into a deep sleep. Scott hates feeling this powerless, unable to take away enough pain from Stiles for him to be lying on those blankets like that. He's used to protecting his pack, and Stiles is pack, and above all, he feels so guilty. He still debates making a run for it as darkness falls around the plane, but he knows Derek is right. He wouldn't know where to run, and would wind up anywhere. Being away from Stiles could only make matters worse. Their patient lies very still, in the same position as before. He hasn't moved since he passed out. "I need some air," Malia suddenly mutters, stomping towards the exit, pushing it open and almost running off the ladder. Outside, it is getting much colder, but it's exactly that cold that keeps her on her toes right now. It's the kind of cold she was used to when she lived as a coyote. She wraps her arms around herself, staring into nothingness. Despite being with her friends, she's never felt this helpless and lonely before. She closes her eyes, lifting her face to the skies, and takes deep breaths, allowing the cold to enter her mouth, throat, and lungs. How good it feels to be able to breathe like that. How awful it must be for Stiles not being able to do the exact same. How angry it makes her feel for not listening to him in the first place. If only they had ignored that smoke. If only they had told the pilot off, if only. A shiver runs down Malia's spine as she realizes the consequences of such a simple decision, a decision that could now cost them dearly. Stiles cannot heal himself. If it had been one of the others, they would have been fine. They could have waited for help, they could have healed, they would have been saved. But Stiles can't heal. He can't be saved by them. He's the victim of their friendship, of their jokes, of a decision made by them instead of him. Malia isn't used to feeling so helpless. She loves Stiles to death, hates seeing him suffer, and she hates this whole situation. A few minutes later, she hears Scott's footsteps behind her. The IV is still dripping fluids inside him. Lydia did an amazing job back there. "Is he still breathing?" Malia asks, at the same time regretting having asked the question. What if Scott came to tell her Stiles is gone? Her shoulders ache from the strain she's feeling. She's so scared of losing Stiles it kills her. "Yeah, he's still out cold. That's good though," the doctor says. "It'll give him some recovery time. His body has endured too much stress as it is. It's a miracle he held on for as long as he did. He's strong, Malia, always has been, even when he appears frail in comparison to some of us." "You took away a lot of his pain, which definitely helped," Malia smiles weakly. "What is the doctor's prognosis?" "He said we have to keep a very close eye on him and monitor his breathing. There isn't much we can do against the fever, though." Lydia just woke up and found a small bag with pain meds in the box Liam retrieved from the back. She somehow hooked that one up to the other one, and we're pumping that into him right now. But that's all we have, and it won't be enough. Not even our pain relief is enough right now. He's hurting pretty bad. All we can do now is to keep him comfortable. It's better than nothing, I guess. Scott runs both hands through his hair. This sucks, you know? I know. Malia places her hand on his shoulder. I'm sorry, Scott. No more than I am. He turns towards the plane. We have to shut down some more lights and spare as much fuel as we can. If we lose the radio, we're on our own. We can't afford that in case something happens to Styles. I found some flashlights in one of the trunks. We could use those, Malia offers. But we don't really need them, do we? We can see in the dark. Styles can't. Neither can Lydia. You look terrible, Malia. Why don't you get some rest? I'll keep guard and wake you when he comes to, Scott offers. She shakes her head. I'd rather stay alert. But thanks. Why don't you rest a bit? He smiles. Fat chance. Come on. It's really getting cold out here now the sun's gone. The skies were so beautiful tonight, Malia muses. And to think that we could have been lingering at a swimming pool right now, with heaters all around us, enjoying well-deserved relaxation time. Why in God's name do we do this to ourselves, Scott? I don't know, he says. We're here because we cared about the people in that car. We should have cared more about Styles. He knows we love him. Does he? Or will he die thinking we teased him during his last living hours with his Jeep and his sickness? Malia retorts sharply. I even placed a bet on him, remember? It was a joke. He knows that. And he won't die. I won't let him, Scott speaks firmly. Are you going to bite him if he's too weak to ask for it himself? If I have to, yes. You'd be going against his wishes. I know. Then don't do it. Even if it might cost him his life? You won't survive even if you did, Malia gently remarks. He's too weak. Scott knows that, but he doesn't want to admit to himself that his final resort might not be enough. He won't bite Styles against his wish. He has always sworn that. If he wants it, he has to say it. But what if he isn't able to speak for himself anymore? What if there is still a tiny chance he could make it if he does it now? Inside the plane, Scott, Derek, and Malia shut down all the lights, taking out the large emergency flashlights from the back of the aircraft. The only thing they keep working is the radio. Mike's voice speaks soothingly as he keeps them informed about the status, telling them several cars had been gathered with emergency equipment. The search parties are on their way, dividing in groups to search the huge area. I reached his dad. He's driving out to Palm Springs, Mike says. He left about an hour ago. Knowing him, he'll do it in 3 hours, Scott mumbles. As long as he doesn't take the Jeep, Derek dryly remarks, delivering a smile on their weary faces. Malia has returned to her place at Styles' side, caressing his forehead while she speaks gently to him, even though he's still out of it. It makes her feel better, as if she pretends he's listening. Lydia leans back on a seat, her eyes not leaving Styles for 1 second. Liam is looking out of the window, closing his eyes for a brief moment when Scott tells him to do so. Just a few more hours now, Mike says. Just hang in there. We're all rooting for you." At that moment, they hear the roars of mountain lions in the far distance. "You'd better hurry," Derek says, "or we might end up as dinner." Scott stands up and looks outside, spotting a large group of animals approaching the plain. They picked up the scents of their natural enemies. "I hate the desert," he mutters aloud.